Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to the channel. This is the Average Fan channel, taking on the average perspective for Chicago sports. These are the Cubs videos where we have game breakdowns, we have roster moves, we give our opinions on what we see. We aren't overly analytical here, but we just talk about what we see, what we like, and what we don't like. If you enjoy the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with your friends, and let's build the community together. Until then, we'll catch you in the next one. Hey, everybody, welcome back, welcome back, welcome in. It's AJ, your average fan here today. Just a quick well, maybe quick video. I want to discuss in this video today the Cubs bullpen and how it has looked out of the gate. I think it's fair to say that the Cubs bullpen definitely has some issues right now. I don't think that that's very arguable. I mean, I think that, the Cubs definitely had a shot at winning yesterday's game in Arizona. The bullpen gave up 8 runs in the eighth inning, leading to their loss. And really, uh, I want to talk about this from the stance of we've seen this movie already, because 2023 and 2024, the seasons were quite similar to each other. In 2023, the bullpen really struggled early. They kind of hit their stride in summer, and then fell apart again right at the end of the year. The 2024 campaign was fairly similar, just kind of slightly in reverse. They did a little bit better at the beginning of the year. They were still kind of iffy at the beginning of the year or in the middle of the season. Um, and it was just too late because of the offensive struggles. But the bullpen last year blew 26 saves, I believe, by the All-Star break. And that number to me is just astronomically horrible. And on top of that, the Cubs bullpen now is supposed to be better, at least on paper, compared to what the Cubs had last year, right? The part that really sticks to me is the fact that the Cubs still have money before the first luxury tax. I want to say that the luxury tax is somewhere around 240 million, and the Cubs are sitting at like 215, somewhere around that area. So even after Bellinger's salary dump, even after picking up Kyle Tucker, you really have quite a bit of room to try to help this bullpen, and you really didn't. Um, you you had a chance uh, multiple times to go get some really good A-list guys for the bullpen, and you just didn't. I'm. It's kind of worrisome that you know the Cubs are interested in getting these B-list guys all over the roster outside of Kyle Tucker and saying, hey, well, on paper, we're better than we were last year. But then Jed Hoyer comes out ahead of Arizona and says, yeah, the margins are tight. And it's like, well, why are the margins tight? You've according to the Ricketts, you had the green light to go right up to the luxury tax, and you haven't. And I understand that a lot of people got cut from the 40-man designated for assignment. Some got outrighted to Iowa. I also understand that you do have guys in Iowa that are more than capable of pitching. But the problem is that, you said that you have urgency and you're building to win now, and you're going all in this year, and you're all in right now. That's all fine and dandy, but that only really, you still have to put the results on the table. And, when you're up 4+ runs in the seventh inning or later, and you have a 96% chance of winning the game, and then you give up 8 runs and lose, in a game where you should have sealed the deal with Kyle Tucker's 3-run home run. And this is a league thing, not just a Cubs thing. Like when you're leading that late in the game, up 4 runs in the seventh inning or later, there's a 96% win probability. And the Cubs just find ways to keep losing in those probabilities, unfortunately. Last year there was the whole Adbert Alzolay deal where he was injured and kind of didn't really know it until he finally went on the IL and then had to have surgery, which shut him down. Hector Neris was an absolute disaster. Ryan Presley hasn't been very impressive at all from spring all the way up until today. Even in his first, regular season win or save, I guess you could say, he still gave up 2 runs and you wound up winning by a run that game. So, it's very annoying to have to go through this again where we're asking, who are the guys that you could trust? I understand that there's a process for some of these guys to really get going and be dependable for the season, but at the same time, you supposedly went after all this depth to add to the bullpen to try to avoid this disaster that you had last year with the bullpen. And on paper, you're supposed to be better, but really, you're not better. And I get that we're only 6 games into the season. I get that it is just one game, but the problem is that one game can turn into 2, 4, 8, 16, so on and so forth. Um, from my point of view, where is it going wrong? I think that, you know, you pull in these guys that always have success on other teams and then they just don't with Chicago. That part doesn't really add up to me. I have a hard time understanding why that's the issue. Um, I also, I also, I don't know who to properly place the blame on here because I don't think it's Council. Council just works with what he has. And the thing is that he's got so many new faces in the bullpen, he legitimately has to go through the process to find out who he can and cannot trust. I think that Eli Morgan is probably already off of that list. I think that game, again, very winnable game, and he gives up 6 runs by himself. So I understand that Craig Counsell himself has to work through these guys and see who he can trust and where he can trust them. I think he did a really good job of that last year because the bullpen had a phenomenal second half for the most part. The bullpen really controlled a lot of games in the second half. And I mean, I have no doubt that Craig Counsell will get there. I have no doubt that he'll find out who plays very well where. But the way that the Cubs schedule shakes out right now, I mean, you have a very demanding first 20 games here. You got to find out your high leverage guys extremely quick, and you got to find out who the dependable high leverage guys are very quick. And if Porter Hodge is your only dependable high leverage guy, the bullpen is screwed because you can't just depend on one guy every single day. I also know that there's Julian Merriweather in there. I know that Miller is in there. I know that there's a couple of guys, but when you don't have guys available, who else can you turn to? Because Eli Morgan got outrighted to Iowa, and then he came up because another pitcher went on the IL like immediately. So I understand that the whole we're going after depth just isn't enough, unfortunately, for where the Cubs are. Unless the offense can put up, 6, 8, 10 runs per game all season long, which let's be honest, that's just not really reachable. The bullpen's going to be in trouble, and they're going to find that out very fast. Again, with the teams that you got to face in this first 20 games here, they're going to tell you everything you need to know about the bullpen. Because the Cubs should be 3-3, not 2-4 right now, in my opinion. I don't think that going to Sacramento against the A's is even necessarily going to be a bounce back series where you should win all three. I think that the A's have built out a pretty solid roster and they have good pitching, so that's not going to be easy wins either. And then you play San Diego at home. So, the bullpen is very stressful because, again, we've been through this the last 2 years, and we can't sit here and waste time trying to figure out who's good and who's not. I think that Craig Counsell will do a better job in year two of placing that hook in the players. If they're not good, he's just not going to rely on them. I think that he himself will do a better job of that. But middle and upper management in the team really just kind of failed, in my opinion, when it comes to building out this bullpen because once again, you had plenty of opportunities to go get A-list guys, and you just didn't. Just flat out did not do it. And it's really disappointing because, you're sitting at 215 when you should be sitting in that 230, 235 range all day long. You have all this extra money. You should go spend it. I think that they did plenty with the offense. I think that the bench looks a lot better than it did last year, for sure. I think that Justin Turner is going to be awesome for Michael Bush and perhaps Matt Shaw to lean on. I've already seen Justin Turner a couple times in for lefties to give Michael Bush a day off. I think that Bruhan will be pretty work out pretty well. I like Gage Workman. I think that he's looking pretty good when he fills in for Nico. So I think that they got the offensive part covered rather well. I don't have any problems with the offensive side of the ball. Outside of the one game where they got held to one in Arizona, I think that the offense has put up some pretty good looking numbers. Kyle Tucker's hitting his stride already, back to back days with home runs. Seiya Suzuki is right there with them too. Dansby Swanson's coming alive, and which is good because PCA had a down day with Ian Happ, and Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki kind of took over that for them. So I think that the offense will be just fine. I have no problems with that. I think that after a couple of home starts, I think that Tyone will come around. I think that Boyd's going to be fine as the fourth man. Really, I'm curious to see what Ben Brown looks like in his first start tonight, to see what he might look like for the rest of the season, unless, further down in the season here, that fifth man kind of gets rotated out a little bit, or you might see some other guys fill in that fifth spot for Ben Brown. I don't know. It just depends on how Ben Brown performs early on, I suppose. So, like, I'm not even really too worried about the starting pitching, to be honest. The only thing that worries me about the starting pitching is why Imanaga is not second. I don't know if maybe with one of the days off coming up, maybe him and Tyone switch spots because I think that Tyone's better as a third man than a second. Unless Tyone just blows everybody's doors off here. But so I mean, really, the offense I'm good with. I like Carson Kelly as a backup or to split time with Amaya. I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with the starting pitching. It's just the bullpen. Like you cannot be giving up 8 runs in a single inning to lose the game when your superstars are doing superstar things. I mean, Dansby Swanson hits a home run. Kyle Tucker hit what should be a game-sealing 3-run home run. It's just you can't relive this song and dance for a third straight year. You got to have a short hook with this bullpen. If guys aren't working out, you got to DFA them. Bring someone up from AAA. Do whatever you got to do until maybe you can find a free agent or a trade or something. Because if the bullpen is giving up games like this, Kyle Tucker won't re-sign. Seiya Suzuki won't re-sign. Ian Happ and Nico Horner, I get that they're under control through, I think, 2026, but they won't re-sign. They might look into waiving trade clauses and getting traded out, So it's just you can't play with the bullpen very long this season. I do hold hopes in Craig Counsell, though. I put a lot of faith in him because I think that after year one, last year he really kind of had to just deal with what he had coming in. I understand that. I'm also going to hold out hope that the Cubs are positioned well enough that, at the All-Star break, they get some help too because Milwaukee's had a disastrous start. I don't personally think that St. Louis's pitching is going to hold up. I heard that on Locked On Cubs this morning. Sam Alber had that to say about St. Louis, and I agree with him a lot. I don't think that their pitching is going to be sustainable through 162. But then again, I mean, it's baseball. Anything can happen. Maybe they do sustain it, and it's a dogfight between us and St. Louis. Really, it's supposed to be a dogfight between us and Milwaukee with all the projections that were handed out before the beginning of the year. So, really, the Cubs should be in the ultimate position here. If it holds true that it's supposed to be a dogfight between us and Milwaukee with the way that they're starting, and St. Louis is pitching, if that doesn't hold up, then I mean, if the Cubs figure out their bullpen and figure it out fast, then yeah, I mean the Cubs should be the obvious favorites for our division. But it hinges on the bullpen, and it sucks that we have to say this for the third year in a row. I would like to think that it will be better this year. I think that again, I think that after year one, where Craig Counsell really just had to deal with what he had, year two, he knows the guys that were here last year. He knows where he could trust these guys. He's got some new faces this year that he's got to work through, and I think that he'll figure that out quicker. I think that he will between Kelly and Amaya and how they call games. I think that that only helps Counsell. I also think that Nico and Dansby being healthy. I think that defensively that will help the pitching to a degree. So I don't know, Cubs fans. It's disheartening to have to go through this again. But I mean, I will take out the positives in it. I do think that again with Counsell being in year two, that helps. Hopefully, Counsell has some pull when it comes to Jed Hoyer and Tom Ricketts in getting help earlier than say last year or in years past. I think that also if he's not getting that help, he might just rely on guys from AAA helping out a little bit more. He did that in Milwaukee. He did that both on the position side and the pitching side. If guys went down or if guys weren't working out and they DFA'd him, he's known for that. So I just hope that with the staff that's in place, offensively, I'm not worried. I'm definitely not worried about the starting pitching. I think that Boyd will be okay. I think Brown will be serviceable. So let's just kind of see how this shakes out. Maybe Sacramento is a confidence builder for the bullpen after how disastrous that game was, and maybe it's a matter of building confidence for the bullpen. I mean, we don't know. I also understand too that Craig Counsell just didn't have arms available just because of who pitched in the first two games. I know that Merriweather was up and warming in the bullpen 2 days in a row, so he just didn't bounce back and just wasn't available for Sunday's game. So maybe after these first two series is out of the way and they have that first off day on Thursday, maybe that will help us get kind of a better look at how things are going into that San Diego series. Because with Thursday coming up, that will be the first weekly wrap up for the Chicago for our show. So we could really kind of look at did they ramp up after Arizona going in to Sacramento, or did they continue their downcline, or did they just kind of break even? That will be one thing that we look at on Thursday for that episode, since there is no game. But until then, we have a game tonight at 9:10. We will be live after that game to cover it. I misspoke yesterday. I said that we would probably be live on Tuesday, but with the way that my work schedule works out this week, I am off tomorrow. So tonight we will do the episode live after the game, and then for Tuesday's game, that will be Wednesday morning for that wrap up. So, Cubs fans, I will catch you guys after the game. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and we'll catch you later.